Hey everyone, how's it going? Last week Treyarch made a blog post outlining a lot of the content they plan on adding into Vanguard Zombies and Cold War over the next few months. There's a lot of information that I don't think anyone was expecting. They really decided to go in a direction I don't think anyone saw coming, but the reception to this blog post has been overwhelmingly positive. So in this video, I'll be breaking down the blog post and sharing my thoughts on exactly what Treyarch is doing. Treyarch opened this blog post with an absolute bombshell by confirming that the next major update for Vanguard Zombies will be a round-based map. It's not going to be the roguelike thing we saw with Durong Fong or Terra Maldicta, or an open-world objective-based thing like Outbreak and Cold War. It's a round-based map based off of Numa with all of the content you would expect from a traditional round-based map. This is a huge change, of course, for Vanguard Zombies. Treyarch have gone on record in the past and said the only round-based elements we would see in Vanguard would be part of objectives like the Void or Blitz objective in Durong Fong and Terra Maldicta. Obviously, the massive backlash the Zombies community has had against this new type of gameplay, and what I assume is a steep decline in player numbers to go along with it, are forcing Treyarch and Activision to try and salvage Vanguard in the only way they can, which is, of course, by giving into player demands and making a round-based map for Vanguard. The unfortunate news is that this new map will be released sometime after the conclusion of Season 3 for Vanguard, which is roughly 2 full months away from now. Season 2 for Vanguard is set to end roughly a week from now, and the seasons typically last for about 2 months. So Vanguard's first round-based map, which keep in mind is a remake of Numa, a map that released over a decade ago in World at War, won't be playable until at least June. At that point, I have to ask, who is this content being made for? Aside from the people like me that are covering the game, I do not know anyone who is going to stick around that long just for a remake of a decade-old map that's already been remade twice. Technically 3 times if you include the version that's already in Durong Fong. We also have no idea how this map will even play since we haven't had a round-based experience in Vanguard, so we'll just have to wait and see if it'll even be fun to play. Now, on the one hand, I'm glad Treyarch has admitted that what they tried in Vanguard isn't working. It's an experiment that didn't work. However, on the other hand, I'm worried that Treyarch might be hesitant to experiment in the future. I don't want Treyarch to not try new things in the future, even though this particular experiment didn't work for this context. If Treyarch had made a roguelike as part of a game like Cold War, I think it could have worked. If the game mode has spent more time in the oven, were put into a game like Cold War and replaced something like the Onslaught mode, or put it into a game like Black Ops 2 instead of a game mode like Turned or Black Ops 4 Rush or Gauntlets, I think it could have worked. I don't want this failure to act as a deterrent for Treyarch to try out new ideas, and we just have to hope that they don't see it that way. That was all Treyarch had to say about Vanguard Zombies, but they did share a roadmap for the new content Cold War will receive in Season 3 and Season 3 Reloaded, and the updates here are even greater. The very first sentence confirms from Treyarch themselves that they are not planning on adding any more Zombies maps to Cold War, meaning that, unless Treyarch are lying or planning on updating an even older game, that all of the rumors about a Zombie Chronicles 2 on the horizon are outright false. Zombie Chronicles 2, for right now, is dead in the water. It's possible they add a Chronicles 2 update to Vanguard, but even with the confirmation that new round-based maps are coming to the game, I highly doubt they'll do that. I don't think Vanguard has enough of a player base for Activision to target for such a highly anticipated DLC, so for the time being, Zombie Chronicles 2 is not happening in any official capacity. With that in mind, I really hope COD Twitter and the Zombies community reevaluates what they consider a reliable source, because I could have and did tell you this was all nonsense a week ago at least. But I don't think the zombie community is going to notice the death of Zombie Chronicles 2, because at the end of that same paragraph, Treyarch not so subtly confirmed that Cold War will be receiving an update that adds a super Easter egg of sorts at the start of Season 3, and that sent the entire community into an uproar. Unfortunately, the only information on this super Easter egg is simply that it will exist, so anything besides that is pure speculation at the moment. The super Easter egg is a huge part of the allure of Easter eggs in general, whether it's the Earth exploding at the end of Black Ops, the bonuses you get on Buried after completing the Easter eggs on all 3 Victus maps, or even something as simple as starting with an RK5 in Black Ops 3. And given how Cold War has made a huge effort to encourage players, especially more casual players who never did the Easter eggs, to experience that side of the game, honestly it's a little shocking that this wasn't something it had during the game's lifecycle. Super Easter egg would have been a huge incentive to do the Easter eggs in Cold War, which is very much in line with what the game's philosophy around Easter eggs was as a whole. So much so that they even started calling calling them main quests and not attempting to hide them altogether. So regardless of what Treyarch does for the Super Easter egg in Cold War, there's a near 0% chance that it makes the game any worse, and is almost guaranteed to get even more people completing the Easter eggs in their game. They go on a little later, and apparently there's a ton of different rewards depending on what's been completed in your game, and at least one of them is a permanent upgrade like the RK5 in Black Ops 3, but they didn't say anything more than that. As far as what they could add, I'd love to see something like what you saw in Infinite Warfare Zombies with the Director's Cut and the Mephistopheles boss fight, but realistically it's probably going to be something smaller than that. Whatever it is, they seem to be keeping it pretty close to the chest, so I'm very intrigued to see what they've done. It seems like it's something we'll have to discover ourselves in the style of previous games' Easter eggs, which I know is going to be really exciting for a lot of people. In comparison to those three major bombshells, or lack of bombshells when you're talking about Zombie Chronicles 2, everything else in the blog post is relatively minor, so we'll try and get through them quickly. Outbreak Collapse is a new limited time game mode that appears to be releasing during Season 3 Reloaded. It looks similar to the Outbreak survival mode where you had 10 minutes to fight an Orda boss and exfil the map. It looks like it could be interesting. I'm looking forward to trying it out when it's available, which will likely be in the middle of May by the look of things. They're also adding in a handful of new limited time modes for Onslaught, which will be nice for the people who like that mode. They only detailed the first mode, which seems like a Black Ops 1 sharpshooter, but in Onslaught. They're also adding the Abomination from Forsaken into Outbreak as a standard elite enemy that would roam around the map, and as an HVT for various objectives. That's cool, more variety there. They're going to make more Outbreak and Onslaught maps, which is nice for the people who like Outbreak and Onslaught, but definitely a footnote compared to everything else they're adding. There's going to be a new ranged weapon and melee weapon coming sometime in the future. The melee weapon doesn't really mean anything since there's already a ton of them and they're all really just cosmetic changes. The ranged weapon can be cool depending on what it is, but it's almost certainly not going to change the meta for Cold War Zombies. And that does it for everything Treyarch added with this new blog post. Overall, I'm surprised by the direction they're taking with new content both in Cold War and Vanguard Zombies, but I think I'm going to be really happy with everything they add in the next coming weeks and months. The first of this new content should go live with the start of Season 3 in a week or so, and I'll be reviewing it all when it releases right here on the channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything when it happens. Of course, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, like the video if you made it this far, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.